storytelling, and he's going to share with us the perspective of a filmmaker when it comes to VR as a new medium for storytelling in filmmaking. So let's welcome Axel.
Hello. Okay. Play. No, full screen. Okay. So, storytelling in VR. Let me take you back for a moment, far back. Back to the antique, to Plato's allegory of the cave. I guess most of you remember it. The basic setup is a light source, in this case a fire. In front of this fire, you have some people holding objects on top of them. These objects throw a shadow on the wall, on this cave. In this case, it's a cave. And the viewer, in this case, is our slaves that for their whole lifetime they have been chained to their seats and not been able to move their heads. So, this. Okay. Good, like this? Okay. It's the first time I use this.
Wow.
Okay. So, what these slaves in the end perceive is always a distorted view of reality. I mean, of course, these objects are real, the fire is real and all this, but they don't really perceive the objects themselves. They just perceive this distorted projection on the wall. They can move their heads. So, this reminds me a bit of how we watch cinema nowadays. Cinema, TV, moving pictures in general, right? It's the same setup. We sit on a seat and it only makes sense to look in one direction. We're not chained and all this, we can look to the sides, but in the end, it works the same way. And we perceive a distorted view on reality. So, through VR, the big difference of VR in this case is that we can perceive an alternative reality, some different place, the same way that we perceive reality as it is, right? So it's not anymore through a frame, small thing, perceive it, like as I'm standing here, if I had headsets on, and I see you here, I would do it would look the same way in VR, right? So, for me as a filmmaker, it's interesting to see what are the different techniques to achieve an experience like that. Okay, and there's a bit of a confusion right now. What is 360 video? What is 3D video? What is VR gaming? So I'm trying to just outline this really quick by explaining you how I see it, and I think most of the people agree in the VR production world. So we have the most basic thing that is 360 video. It's basically a rig of cameras, a setup of cameras, filming towards all directions. And later with software, the images from these cameras are stitched together. That's the term that they use, stitched together, and you get a complete spherical image that you can take from where you recorded it. You have it on your hard drive, you take it on your computer, play it, and you can expand it again and view it at home or wherever you are, right? So this is the most basic way that you can record virtual reality. The next step would be stereoscopic 3D or 360 3D, as they call it as well. It's basically the same thing. So how does it work? In the most simple form, it's camera pairs that take images around themselves, and again you stitch it together, but in the end you have not one sphere, but you have two separate spheres that create this stereoscopic image. So it's basically what you see in 3D cinema right now when you have the shutter glasses on. It's pretty much the same thing. You look at the screen and you have a separate image for each eye, which gives you a better feeling of depth. Okay, you have a better feeling of how far objects are away. The next step would be VRVienna. or 360 VR. So it's still the concept of having a spherical recording, especially in this case, this is a concept still of, what was the name? Who knows this thing? Litro, thank you. Of the Litro camera. So the idea basically is that you can record an image, you have a stereoscopic representation, and additionally you can move around. So you can change perspectives, you can look behind objects, all this freedom of motion that we're used from gaming in the end. Okay, so you can, in the end, you can move around in the scene. So an additional degree of immersion. And then we have VR gaming. I won't tell you too much about it because, as far as I understood, most of you know already what's possible in gaming. Okay, so this is like the ultimate step of immersion and interactivity that is possible. So let me show you a little bit the new development that is happening in film right now, in the film industry. One of the very interesting projects that I saw is, I think that's called Presence, from a company called Noson. And they are doing already, they're making possible what I was calling VR video right now. So you have a real environment captured, and you can move around in it freely. So it looks so realistic because this is actually something that exists. Okay? It was captured with, in this case, I guess, photogrammetry, 3D object placed inside, and it's not a game engine per se anymore. It works with parallaxing of image. It's quite complicated, and they don't really give too much information about how they work. The important thing is it's a real environment, a real environment that was captured with cameras, and you can now move in it. The next example is not this yet. 8i. So there was quite a promotion about it, and maybe you have seen it already. So this is real-time 3D scanning and capturing and texturing of characters. So this is now not capturing an environment, but having different characters with all the 3D information that you can now place in 3D environments and create a scenery. Or you can shoot someone in a studio and place them somewhere else. The same concept as we know it already from green screen and all this, but now for virtual reality. Okay, so this goes on for a bit longer. For the people who are interested, I'm happy to pass you on the links. Yeah? So then Star Wars. I'm sure everybody has seen it already, right? Everybody is kind of a fan. Let's see, after the last movie, maybe not so much anymore, or maybe even more. The people are a bit divided, no? I, for myself, must say I enjoyed it very, very much. And one thing that was for me very stunning was how they could achieve the same look that they had in episode 4 to 6. So it was really like going back to my youth, really, and seeing the same look, even the same characters. But okay, that's a different thing. The same look. Okay, and I thought, wow, that's so nice, because when you look into how they did it, they created these huge matte paintings where they really went with a brush and painted on top, and I thought, oh, nice, they really did all that again. So I was very shocked in a way when I saw this, and I would just leave it a bit. And I mean, why was I shocked? I thought, okay, they did all this handcraft and built these sets again, and so many people like just touching things, but no, they created everything in 3D. And although they took very, very many references, and they went around and really took care to take like the model of the Millennium Falcon, the original one from episode 4, and they scanned it in all the details. But in the end, what they did, they made a 3D object out of it and put it in the computer, and in the end, the image that we see is out of the computer. this also goes on for a long time. It's a very interesting video of 50 minutes, very much insight in computer graphics. I can also pass it on to you if you're interested. So, but why am I showing this to you when I'm talking about virtual reality? The reason is that ILM X Lab is a new company founded in cooperation with ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, Lucasfilm, and Starwalker Sound. And these companies together are creating right now, and this guy that you just saw was John Gaeta, the one with the glasses. That's the guy, the technical director from The Matrix. Him. They are using all these assets that are created during the movie and besides the movie, and they use these assets to transfer them to a virtual reality world where you are able to move around freely, have acting as you saw it, and be inside this virtual reality. In this, here you see Annette was mentioning it before, the cave system, right? Here you see the cave system, they're using this, and the characters that you see here in the background, these are actually real-time animated by a second actor that has a motion tracking suit and is reacting to what the person is doing there, right? So they're doing this. Let me skip forward a bit. Okay, I'm skipping exactly to the wrong places all the time. In the end, I guess you get the concept. You get the concept. They're doing virtual reality, right? They're bringing Star Wars into virtual reality, and we will be able to see it very soon. I don't know when, but it's going to happen soon. So this is all amazing. Yeah? This is a lot of technological things going on, and with what Annette was telling us and Timo, to be honest, I'm a bit overwhelmed with all the things that are to do. You were asking before, so okay, where can I make my part? Where can I do something myself? So let's go back a bit. Let's go in the beginning to the beginning of any project, which is. What exactly do I want to do? Not what is the techniques that I want to use, what do I want to do? And for that we have to understand what is virtual reality, what is the essence of any virtual reality experience, no matter how simple it is, if it's just a 360 video as we mentioned before, or is it like virtual reality gaming with all the motion tracking suit and all this. So for me, virtual reality is we're taking a world, we're placing ourselves into a different world, and we are present there. That's the most important part of this experience. We're really there. It's not we're looking through something, through a frame, or looking at a picture of something. No, we're there. And we're able to change the viewing direction. We can decide what we see. Also in the most simple virtual reality experiences, that's the case. So, what does it mean for a filmmaker? We don't have a frame anymore. Framing is a very important tool that we have as a filmmaker, as a cameraman. We have like our borders, and inside there we're placing everything. We're creating the scene. So we don't have this anymore. We have more like as you see here. This is a panorama from a 360 video, right? And the brightest spot is where someone is looking. So we more have this vague kind of circle where someone can look, and this is more or less what you can see, but it can shift around, and it's not so defined anymore. We have only one field of view, which is the field of view of our eyes. It's more or less like 180 degrees, something, yeah, more or less, right? In film, for cameramen, we are used to have wide-angle optics, we have tele-optics, all this, and we tell different things with that. We have here on the right side, left side, you see different, there's the same scenery, but shot with different lenses, and it's a different picture every time. So we don't have this anymore. And what does this mean? Like very important tools like a close-up. A close-up is used in movies to go to a character's face and show the feelings that are going on in this person, in this character, and what we find a way to relate with this person. No? How does a close-up look in VR? It's more like this. It's like, oh shit, too close. Okay, too close. I do want to understand what you're feeling. I want to see, but it's stay away. Okay, and let's just do this like this, and then okay. So it's very important to understand this. We don't have a lot of tools anymore that we use as filmmakers. There's also a concept of the fourth wall that is from theater and filmmaking. You use it as well. It's when you have a set and something is going on there. There's some drama, and then there's really hard scenes maybe to take. As a spectator, you're always here, and this imaginary fourth wall is separating you from what is going on there. So although it might be very dramatic what is going on there, and you can feel what's going on, you're still separated. In virtual reality, you're in the middle. You're there. You're not anymore somewhere else on the seat, comfortable and everything. No, you're in the middle of the scenery. And something that you also have to always keep in mind is you can't look at everything at the same time. We saw that before with this panoramic image. So let's take this the example of the Last Supper again. So we have many different things going on in this image, and while we maybe like this we can look at the image at a whole, no? But when we really want to look at the image, we have to go by parts. We can't understand the scenery by looking at everything at the same time. We have to look at Jesus maybe, then we look at these guys in the meantime. They seem very surprised. Then there is a discussion going on, and while we're there, Judas was already selling Jesus to the Romans. So you know, it's a bit. There's a lot of stories going on, and everything is important, but we can't see everything at the same time. In an image like this, it's no problem because nothing is moving. But reality is different. You have to have something going on, but at the same time, we don't want to miss anything. Something to keep in mind. So for all these reasons, and especially the last one, it is important to understand that virtual reality, even in the simplest form, is an interactive experience. Any virtual reality experience forces you to either look one way or another way, and you can't see everything at the same time. We have to keep that in mind. So what have we learned from all this? Let's see, I don't remember. Yeah. So one of the things that we definitely saw when we viewed virtual reality experiences and when we did our own experiences is when a person puts on a headset and dives into this different reality, they're making a teletransportation in a way. Okay? It sounds a bit cheesy maybe to say it because they're still sitting there, I can see them. But for them, they were transported somewhere else. And it can be anywhere. It could be a starship on the end of the galaxy, right? So this reminded me a bit of a Native American wisdom that I was hearing about. That is, when the steam train was invented and they placed the tracks through the country, and the Native Americans saw this, they said, this is not right. This is too fast to travel. You can only, or your soul, the human soul, can only travel at a certain speed. If I remember correctly, it was like 20 miles per hour, which is as far as fast as a horse can go. And they said, so if you go with the train, you have to make stops so your soul can arrive. Okay? So keep that in mind when you do virtual reality. You place them somewhere else, and people somewhere else, and they need some time to get used to this place. Okay? So an important point. Then you have to keep a balance between guidance and let the viewer explore. So of course you want to tell a story, and the viewer needs to see certain things, but you don't have to push him too much either, because otherwise it's not a virtual reality anymore. Then it's like, well, this thing. Spatial detail. It's a thing that is not a new topic, but for cinematographic compositions, you also have to take you always have to take care that you have enough, or in games as well. You have to take care that you have enough details in the main place where the scenery is taking place, or where the action is taking place. But don't forget about the surrounding. If you have everything placed in like a bunch of objects in one scene and the rest is empty, it looks empty. In virtual reality, it's even worse. You have a lot more space to fill. So don't forget about all this space that you're not looking at all the time. One thing that we've learned is as well that fiction is very, very difficult. Documentaries work quite well. We saw some really nice examples from The Words, the New York Times, and this is really something, you take a real environment, something that exists, you place the viewer there and it's believable because it's real. With fiction it's different. With fiction we want to tell something, we want to create something that is not real, and to make this still feel real or acceptable, it's even harder in virtual reality. We had to learn the hardware. A lot of people keep learning it the hard way. Let's see what the answers are. We don't really know yet. And one last thing that is very important about virtual reality, this medium works because of you feeling that you're somewhere else. This feeling of presence. It's a very important word for virtual reality. And once you lose this feeling because of, often it's technical problems, like frame rate doesn't work, or you have a bad stitching, like two images don't fit together, and like maybe something like glitches in the matrix, you could call it like this. If you have this, you're out of the experience. It's gone. The magic is gone. So be careful with that. Understand the techniques that you use and respect them. For the end of my talk, let me go back to the allegory of the cave. And so the story actually continues. I guess you remember, maybe if not, let me outline. It's the slave that we saw in the beginning that was chained. One of them is actually freed, and he can go outside. He can go see the fire, he sees all the objects, and he goes further. He can even leave the cave, and he sees the world that is out there. Putting together what I was telling you before, this outside world, in my understanding, or I want to make this metaphor, is that virtual reality is this world outside the cave. And when the slave comes back in the old allegory, he's trying to show what he saw. He's trying to explain what he saw outside to the other slaves, and he's not being received so well because what he's showing, it's not working for them. They're afraid of it. They don't understand it. So the way I want to combine this a bit with what we do is that we are actually the slave that has been freed. We have seen virtual reality, right? We create this world that is around. We don't just see it, we create this world that is around. And we should actually be very careful with what we bring back to the others and prepare for them to make this a nice experience for everybody. Thank you.